Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of our Google EHF Expert Hangouts. Well, a couple of things I'd like to say before we start. First of all, sorry for our slight delay of about 10 minutes. We had some technical difficulties to sort out, which leads us straight to the question, why is this lovely lady sitting next to me? Well, Courtney, our EHF recording group, had some difficulties with her computer. Thankfully, she's staying with us here in Győr. That's why I invited her over to come to our room. Hi, Courtney, how are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. How are you?
But obviously, I don't want to make this like, you know, a one-on-one discussion between me and Courtney here, so very heartily welcome our three journalists, which will be your guys' journalists if you follow our coverage on ehfeuro.com. Our journalist for Group C in Varaždin is Vlado Brindzak, who joins us just north of Varaždin, probably a couple of k's outside the city center. Hi, Vlado.
Hi, Thomas. Dobrá večer, Hrvatska. Jó estet kívánok, Magyarország.
And for everyone who knows like the famous German TV show Die Sendung mit der Maus, that was probably Croatian.
Croatian and Hungarian.
And Hungarian. He's a multilingual expert. Peter, our EHF journalist in Group B, sorry, who's just arrived in Debrecen. Maybe you can just say good evening in English and maybe Danish.
Good evening, everybody. God aften alle sammen.
There you go. So for all our Danish listeners.
English first, I have to point out.
Nemanja, our journalist for Group D, who joins us at the moment still from Belgrade in Serbia before he travels to Osijek tomorrow. Maybe you can say good evening as well in your own language.
Yeah, of course. Good evening and hello everyone. Dobro večer I pozdrav svima.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Well, for all our fans watching and following us tonight, obviously, always tweet your questions to our Twitter account at EHF EURO, or if you're using the Google Hangout question and answer tool, I'll see your questions right here, and we will throw them at our experts. Well, guys, the Euro, ladies, obviously, the Euro is just about 2 days around the corner before we have the first matches taking place on 7th December. Nemanja, I want to start with you because you'll be covering Group D and the defending champions, Montenegro. Give us the latest update on their form. I mean, despite a rather average or probably even disappointing performance last year in Serbia at the World Championship, they seem to be back in form, at least when one kind of reads what they say.
Well, yeah, it is, Tom, you're right to an extent, but they've publicly rejected the role of favorites for the championship. They said various statements from, let's say, Bulatovic, from Adžić, and furthermore, they said that they can't promise a medal, they don't think they'll be in a final, they want to finish between 1st and 6th place, somewhere out there. But I think that's because they're feeling the pressure. Adžić told me that he actually gives the edge to the teams that made better results at the World Championship 2013. So as far as
sorry to just interrupt you, but isn't that kind of like the normal understatement you get anyway? It's like, yeah, I mean. Well,
if you know Montenegrin team, they're strangers to the understatement. They don't use that.
so where. Yeah, where do they stand at the moment from your personal point of view?
At the moment, let's see. At the moment, it's between two players that are pretty much the key for Montenegro. We have Katarina Bulatovic, who is at a very uncertain fitness state at the moment. She will play, but how fit is she? It's fairly unknown. We have Jovanka Radičević, who is fairly unfit and not in form, not at all. And we have Radmila Miljanić, who is also kind of under a fitness issue. So that's a right-wing problem for Montenegro. And our right-back issue if Andrea Klikovac can't make up for Bulatovic until she gets back to her Šaušeli form that we have accustomed to. Now that's pretty much Montenegro in a nutshell, but there are a lot more.
Montenegro in a nutshell. I mean, if they are no strangers to understatement, or like no, actually the exact opposite. Peter, what are Denmark and Norway in your group? I mean, two teams who are, if you talk about this championship, are always, I think, named among the favorites.
Well, if we should stick to talking about understatements, I would say that those teams have a completely different approach to this tournament. While the Norwegians usually have quite high expectations in themselves and usually also have a certain right to have those, it has to be said that they are really unofficial Nordic champions in understatements ahead of this tournament, where they're very busy at downplaying their own chances, their own role at the championship. I have even read in Norwegian newspapers that some of the most of the finest experts in Norwegian handball are talking about Norway's chances to make a surprise at this Euro, and I would say that this is definitely, those are definitely new tones from Norway. It's quite opposite with Denmark, who are absolutely not understate or making any understatements at all. They are saying from the coach to the 16th player that they're going for a medal, and that the finest medal of them all, the gold medal, is absolutely not unrealistic and not out of reach. And those are also new tones if you compare to what was the original goal or aim for this team, which was to peak at the World Championship on home ground next year and at the Rio Olympics in 2016. So the Danes have definitely brought a lot of optimism with them to Hungary.
Yeah. What has made them so optimistic from your point of view? What has changed in the team? I mean, obviously they did end a very, very long medal draft last year in Serbia when they finally won bronze after, I don't even know from the top of my head, finally won a medal again after like 10 years or so, I think it was.
After a medal draft of 10 years. Actually, it started with this team, which has been together ever since the EHF EURO 2012 in Serbia, where they did a surprisingly good performance, finishing fifth, and as far as I remember, only being 2 goals from going to a semi-final. And then they continued their upgoing streak with these bronze medals, also in Serbia at the World Championship last year. And that combined with their good results in the test matches, I think they are undefeated for about 6 or 7 test matches in succession. All that has given them this optimism. It's a well-organized, well-worked together team. It's a unit. The players know each other. They know the roles in the team. And if a player has to fall out, like injured line player Marianne Bunde, then a qualified player who is even the same type of player, at least in the defense where Marianne Bunde will be mostly missed, can fill in this case Louisa Svallerstoke. So that also says a lot about the broadness and the versatility of the squad that Ludwig has at his proposal. And all these factors adding together have resulted in this enormous optimism by the Danes.
I mean, Courtney, for you, is this you're in Group A, covering the hosts. I mean, with hosts, there's always there come expectations. There's always pressure as well. But Hungary are always named among the favorites when we talk about this Euro. Do you see them up for that challenge? Do you think they can actually go all the way to Budapest?
I think that Hungary are a team that respond very well to the home ground advantage. But this year they have a young team. They've got a lot of young players to integrate, and with Anita Golovic missing, they have to try and replace her in the centre. And so it is just a question of whether they can rise to the occasion or whether they buckle under the pressure, I think. But these are, the young players. They've shown promise, but the experience is something that you can't force. That you have to learn to cope with the pressure. So we'll just have to see. It's quite unknown, I think.
Is that something where you'd say, we have to see, we have to wait for the first match next Saturday how they actually cope, or do you have a feeling from what you've seen of the team so far, from what you've read?
Like I said, I think that Hungary respond really well to the home crowd. So I think that they will rise. I think the Hungarian spectators, the fans are great. They're really positive and they really lift the team. Yeah, and I think that they'll be really motivated to perform well at home. So I do expect them to perform well.
Vlado, I mean, does that leave you in Group C, in the only group without favourites, so to say? You know,
I was wondering which team are you going to name as a favourite in my group, because I don't know if that was your intention, but you put me in a group with absolutely 4 even teams. All of them can go all the way to the medal round, and all of them can be eliminated already after the preliminary round. So, yeah, a tough call.
But I think that's the case with many teams now. I think that a lot of players have been saying that there can be a lot of surprises this year. There's a lot of teams that are sort of coming to the end of a rebuilding period, and there's a lot of teams that are very optimistic. So anyone could surprise, I think.
Yeah, of course. I think we will be much wiser already after the very first game in this group. That will be Germany versus the Netherlands, because in my opinion, the loser of this game will be fortunate enough to avoid any pre-Christmas shopping panic, and they will go home.
I actually don't know if you talk to any of the teams whether they wouldn't like to swap, like, you know, any kind of pre-Christmas shopping frenzy with the, you know, at least slight outlook of making it to the final weekend in Budapest. But I'm very much looking forward to you giving us the update on that and what the players actually say. Nevertheless, I mean, there is Croatia in your group, Vlado. They are co-hosts. There is this there's this stigma maybe with the Croatian team that they have this, you know, like massively successful men's team, and they have the women.
And they never reach the semifinals, exactly. And they see this as the last big chance for the current generation. So far, they look confident, they look comfortable. They won 2 very good friendly games against Montenegro, but Nemanja basically analyzed the problems of Montenegro. I read the Croatian newspaper Jutarnji List on the plane last night on the way here. And yeah, everything's running according to the plan of Vladimir Canjuga. All key players are healthy. Andrea Penezic is a leader in Vardar in the Champions League. Marta Zderic is carving out time from Klara Woltering in the Budućnost goal. Miranda Tatari was doing really well as well for Podravka. So yeah, there is a chance, but as you already mentioned, the home support is it's a double-edged weapon, double-edged sword. It can give you a lot of energy. It can put a lot of pressure on the opponents, but as well, it can put you under the pressure. And it will be interesting to see how the Croatian team will deal with this.
How much of a difference do you think Penezic can make? I mean, many kind of, you know, I mean, the closest they were to a semi-final was probably 2 years ago in the against Spain at the Olympic Games, and she was injured in that game. And then she didn't play in Croatia at the Euro 2012 in Serbia. And then, as you just said, she plays a really, really good season. Is she like the key player that Croatia needs to go? Well, I don't want to say all the way, but you know, further than
definitely. You need an inspirational leader. But I think in case of Croatia, this is not a question of individualities. This has to be a hard teamwork, and they have to stick together. Otherwise, they have no chance.
Nemanja, I mean Serbia and Andrea Lekic, so there's probably an quite similar combination like Croatia and Penezic. What's the latest on Serbia and Andrea Lekic? I mean, obviously there was some injury doubts about her.
Yeah, there are, but well, Andrea is a consummate professional. She's pretty much labeled insane to want to get back as soon as possible to play at the European Championship, because many journalists said that she's jeopardizing her career and stuff like that. But I believe the people are reading into it way too much, you know, because her injury was tough. she is going to play at the Euro. We're still uncertain if she is going to start the game against Montenegro, but she is going to recover. And given that the pressure is bulking up, they're trying to play down the pressure from Andrea Lekic and said, take your time, recover, and you will be there to join us and help the team when we need you the most. So that's pretty much what happens with Lekic. But her mindset is just amazing. You know, her willingness to recover is absolutely great. You know, it's something I like to highlight about her.
How dependent is Serbia on Lekic? And I mean, wanting to play is one thing, and then putting on the court is one thing. That she's 100% fit is obviously a different kind of matter.
But look, there are actually a few ways you can look at it. The team is only as good as the lineup. The whole 7 players have to work 6 pretty much on the court. So the one lineup when the Lekic is the leader is pretty much the best. When you have, for example, I don't know, Trifunovic on the left back, or Damjanovic if she covers, and when you don't have Lekic, you have Kristina Liščević. But at this point of time, she's injured far worse than Andrea Lekic. She's the bigger uncertainty than Andrea. So it's very much dependent, you know. For Serbian team, it's what matters as much as the on-court happenings is what happens in the dressing room, you know. Because there's a high amount of team spirit, and if she can motivate her teammates, which are pretty much young and inexperienced, if she can motivate her teammates, she doesn't have to be on the court from the game 1. I mean Lekic, and she will do that.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, your Group D, I mean, looks yeah, so settled, so to say. I mean, you know, people might say it's only a question whether Denmark or Norway comes third. Do you see it exactly that way, or will you say that, you know, look, Romania might have the chance to, you know, actually tease the one or the other if they have a good day?
I would like to see Romania first before I write them completely off when we talk about top 2 in that group. Of course, Denmark in particular and Norway also, I think, look pretty frightening, but I think it will be too early to write off Romania. They still have some very experienced players as a backbone of that team, and experience, everybody knows how much that is worth in top handball, and in particular in a tournament like this where things get tough and get tight. So Romania should definitely not be written off. They also have a very experienced coach in Tadici who has tried just about everything there is to try in the handball world. So I think we should watch out for Romania. I would like to see them on the court before I make a final judgment of them. But the way I see the group ahead of the first ball being thrown, I would say that Denmark with Norway as a very big dark horse look to be the strongest team in that group.
Mm.
Peter, when you were talking about the home support, then probably we shouldn't forget about Debrecen as a city which is just 30 kilometers from Romanian borders. So I think the Romanian fans will create a really home atmosphere for Romania. So we shouldn't forget about this fact. As maybe you remember in Vršac 2 years ago, it was also just behind the Romanian borders, and the atmosphere they created for their team was just amazing.
Mm. Courtney, your Group A obviously is very different compared to Group B. If we look at that one as a more settled one, you have with Spain, Poland, Russia. You have 3 teams, 3 very competitive teams. 3 teams probably more or less on the same level. Which of these 3 do you see as the favourites who will make it to the main round, probably alongside Hungary?
I think it's going to be a pretty big upset if Russia or Poland make it through. I think that Spain they had a pretty strong qualification, and they've had the last few weeks they played a tournament in Spain and they won all their games. They beat Poland by like 8 goals or 7 goals or something. So they had a pretty big win there. I think they're looking really strong. In that game against Poland, they kept Poland scoreless for 13 minutes at one point. Their defense is looking really strong, and they look like they have a strong attacking plan. So I like Spain a lot at the moment. I think they're...
And what about Russia and Poland? Where do you see their strong points? Which teams? From your point of view, which is the third team that makes it to the main round?
Well, to be honest, Russia, I'm not as certain about. I think they could be a big surprise. Poland, I think they've had a rough couple of last weeks. They've been inconsistent. They played at the tournament in Spain and they had an okay game against Spain, but then they played a lot, I think, worse the next day when they played against Tunisia or Brazil.
Brazil, I think it's, yeah.
So I think they're just looking a bit inconsistent at the moment. I think if there was going to be a third, it's going to be Russia.
I mean, Russia is obviously a team with a huge tradition, and I know you guys. You've been covering handball for so long. I mean, Trefilov for them is not back on the court, and everyone just when they hear the name Trefilov, what kind of a difference can such a coach with such a long experience in handball make? Vlado, what do you think?
This is a good question. Me personally, I'm really interested in seeing how the Russian team with returned Trefilov will make now, because no one can deny the successes this team achieved under Trefilov's guidance several years ago. But this will be a proof if the efficiency of Russian team is really based only on this Russian mentality that they need a leader, they need a strong leader, the autocratic Tsar, the Caesar, or because it didn't work 2 years ago. We saw Krokhin as a very democratic coach. He was very friendly to the players, and results were not there. So maybe this is what Russia really needs. But on the other hand, they will miss several players. In this time, many Russian players already play abroad. They came across with another attitude, another coach approach to the players, so they might not like it.
Peter, is that something like the Scandinavian media talk about when they look at potential Danish/Norwegian main round opponents? Do they say? I mean, obviously they can't avoid Hungary, but do they talk about the other three teams as well?
Well, a team like Russia is practically not mentioned in Danish media. It is as if no one is expecting anything from Russia. If that has something to do with Trefilov's return, or the fact that the Russians were not even at the World Championship last year, I don't know. But at least Danish media are not talking a lot about Russia. And actually, it's generally surprising how little the thought of possible main rounds opponents has been occupying the Danish media so far. They are talking more about, of course, the clash with Norway as the expected group final in Group A, and then who the Danes will be going to meet in the semifinals in Budapest. It is as if for many Danish media the main out has more or less been cut out of the tournament. They're not talking a lot about that. The Danish players are, of course, but it's not really got through to the Danish media.
I mean, continuing on this, does that mean very much that Norway in the end will come out with the short stick and be the unlucky third one in the main round? Assuming that they will lose against Denmark and then obviously have to face Hungary, which may or may not are likely to come with 4 points to Debrecen?
I would say that Norway are running a very big risk of being that unlucky number 3 in that main round group, having to face Denmark and Hungary. If they lose to Denmark in that expected group final on the 11th, there will be at least an enormous pressure on them when they meet Hungary, who will have the home advantage in the main round. So I'm excited to see if the many young players in the Norwegian team can stand that pressure, and there will definitely be a lot of weight and a lot of responsibility of the experienced players in the Norwegian team to so to speak carry their young teammates through this.
Nemanja, talking about your group, D, and well, you've with Slovakia, you have the newest newbie in the team compared if we talk about the field of teams compared to the 16 we had in Serbia. I mean, Slovakia hadn't qualified for 20 years. What do you expect from them? Can they spring a surprise? Obviously, with Montenegro, Serbia, France, they face some really tough opponents.
Well, look, with no pressure of expectations, I believe Slovakia can be a pleasant surprise. If they can make through the if they can pretty much use the injury crisis in Serbia, for example, then if they can surpass the challenge of Montenegro, because I've seen very few games of Slovakia. I'm pretty much looking forward to meet the team. But from what I've seen, they're fighting till the end. They play their own game. They really want to win, but their individual quality just isn't up to France, Serbia, or Montenegro. So I think that they're going to give a run for their money to every possible Group D matchup, and I'm looking forward to see them. And that's pretty much all I can say before I see them practice or meet them at the media call. So.
Yeah. I mean, Vlado, despite your fluent introduction in Croatian and Hungarian, you are actually Slovakian. Yeah.
I was afraid I'm not going to get a speech on Slovakian team, but yeah.
How much can you tell us about the team? What's the media coverage in the Slovakian media like these days? What are the expectations?
Well, now it's getting emotional for me because I've been covering this team for last 15 years previously before I started working for the EHF, and no success was there. And now, when I left,
we're not going to draw any kind of connection here. We're not going to draw any kind of connection. That is completely unrelated.
Yeah. Let's talk about the team first. Yeah, what can I tell you about the team? Yeah, I could tell you that they are the underdogs. Yeah, I could tell you that they have no experience at the major tournaments at all, and they have just one player in the Champions League, which is Lidia Jakubisova in Thüringer. I could also tell you that their play in the preparation was quite inconsistent, and that they will miss Mariana Rebičová, probably their only tall long-distance shooter. And they will miss centimeters and kilos. But what I say is that even the small players can cast long shadows. And if they stick together like a team with one mind, one soul, and one big heart, and if they repeat the same gritty and kind of daring performance like they showed against France in the qualification, they could spring a surprise. And there are some more positive signs about Slovakia. Maybe 5 years ago, men's team of Slovakia played exactly in Osijek as well, and basically this team turned our ice hockey republic into a handball mad nation. And we also have a populous Slovakian minority in the surrounding of Osijek, so we can rely on the support there. So we will see. The handball coverage has always its tradition in Slovakia because it's coming from Czechoslovakian roots, and maybe you don't know, but the first ever world champion in the women's handball was Czechoslovakia. So there is a rich tradition. We have a good coverage, and I think many journalists are coming, and we will see. Maybe it will be just 3 games and that's it. But I'm sure that girls will give it a try, and I will keep my fingers crossed for them.
Drawing on history and stats here, just to give Slovakia the edge over France. Nemanja, which leads me back to you. France, a team that plays much more successful at World Championships, if you look at stats, compared to their previous Euro performances. However, they seem to be reasonably confident this time around. Where do you see France, maybe just ranking-wise, at the end of the group phase?
Well, I definitely see France among 8, maybe even among 6 best teams. It really depends because with France, you never know. You know, they can end up in the finals just as well as they can be 8th of 8, you know, in the main round because everything is up to, for example, Alisson Pinot or Sirova Dembele, and they have a very good goalkeeper, which I'm very much looking and backing to shine in Cleopatra Dalu, if I'm pronounced it correctly. Very, very good goalkeeper. When she was younger, I watched at the junior championships, and she was amazing. So she can be the difference maker for France. Of course, Alisson Pinot, as I've already mentioned, she's the beginning and the end of all their hopes. So if she can find her best form and mental stability to lead the team, I think sky's the limit for France. You know, they're pretty much, if we take into consideration and all seriousness what Montenegro has said, France might be even the champion, the favorite to top the group. So that's my opinion.
Vlado, you kind of try to sneak out a bit talking about Group C, saying yeah, it's an evenly balanced group, and so we have to wait for, you know, excuse me, Netherlands, Germany, but. And we still have Sweden in there, you know, at least a silver medalist from 4 years ago. We have we have Croatia there as the host. Who's the unlucky 4th one who can enjoy Christmas shopping instead of having to play the Euro?
I'll put it this way. Just before this hangout, I read a nice interview on Handball World, probably from DPA or for somebody. With Kerstin Warbold, and she's also a teacher in the Erfurt school, and she said that her pupils were very sad she was leaving for the Euro. So I think she will make them happy very early.
Okay, Erfurt students being happy, German national team probably missing out here on the.
But this is just my guess. It's really a tough call. As I said, I think we will be much wiser after the first game against the Netherlands. The Netherlands looks very, very confident. They released a very nice promotion trailer, and their motto should be "One team, one dream." But it will be interesting to see what a little experiment by their head coach Gröner will look like, because he changed the veteran goalkeeper Van der Waal for a youngster, explaining that he's going to do this space for a rejuvenated team. But normally you do these changes after big tournaments. Yeah, so these are 2 which I think will play for the 3rd place, and yeah, the other game, Croatia versus Sweden, I guess a draw. I think Sweden will be very strong at this tournament. Even that strong, they were in the preparation that Swedish journalists start asking that if a bad dress rehearsal means a good show, what does a good dress rehearsal mean? After they beat twice the world champions from Brazil by 6 and 7 goals, so this will be really interesting. So I definitely count with these 2 teams in the main round.
Well, guys, we've talked so much about predictions. We've talked so much about the groups. We will all be much wiser when we all meet again at this place here at the Hangout, just before the final weekend throws off in, I think, exactly 2 weeks from now, on the 19th of December. The semi-finals take place in Budapest. But obviously can't let you go without giving your predictions. And it's a 3-fold prediction this time. I mean, first of all, I would like you to name the team that you think will go home after the group phase. I would also like you to name the 4 teams that you see in the semi-final in 2 weeks' time, and of course, I would like you to name the winner. And we start with our journalist here in Group A, Courtney. I think you've already named the team that will go home after the group phase. So
yeah, but actually I've been sitting here thinking about that, and I can't decide. I think that Poland are very capable of surprising us. We know that after the World Championships last year. So I don't know. I think in the last couple of weeks, their last preparation has been a bit iffy, that's all. But yes, okay, fine. I'll stick by what I said earlier, and let's say Poland will be number 4. Do I go through the rest of my list?
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely. Or do you want some time to think about this?
No, actually, I'd like to go first.
Yeah.
I have to say Hungary are going through to the semi-finals. They're one of my favorites, and obviously hosts. It's very difficult for me to decide between Spain and Norway for the other spot from Group 1. I really like Spain at the moment, but I think it's really hard to say turn away from Norway, and especially with how Larvik has been performing, and they have a lot of, from that club, have a lot of the national team players. So I think Hungary and Norway from Group 1 for the semi-finals. For Group 2, I really like Sweden and France, especially after their draw against Hungary yesterday.
Okay, very interesting prediction here. Very good. So who tops the podium in the very end?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to say Norway.
Norway. Okay, so the record winners win again after just like a little 2-year absence of the podium. Vlado, you.
No, go for Peter first. I like to be in the opposition, so I would like to hear more opinions, and I can agree. Go for Peter first.
That's very.
You can throw the ball back to Vlado and just said, "Oh, you look, you've been named." But if you're happy,
we are going in the order, yeah. Group A, Group B. So Peter.
All right, Peter. Group B it is. Come on.
Okay, if Vlado is going to disagree with me on who is going home from Group B, I will be very surprised, because I think you have given me the easiest one there. Everyone says Ukraine, and you don't have to be a great handball expert to say that too, and that is obviously also what I say. From what I've seen from the Ukrainians in the qualification tournament and in their warm-ups, the test matches, they seem to be the weaker link in this group. The team from that group that will go to the semi-final will be Denmark, where they will the other semi-finalists will be Hungary, Croatia, and France, and the European champion at the end will be Hungary, who defeat Denmark in the final.
Okay, so a speech for the hosts, boosted by the home advantage going all the way. Vlado, no route to escape.
Okay, I agree what Peter said about Group B, the bottom team.
Now you have to talk about Group C.
I know.
That is like trying to escape like through the back door. No. Group C is your group, Vlado.
All right, I know my group very well. Don't worry.
If you want to, I can name you the teams again. Just
I can do it for you. It's
good.
I think to mix names like Isabel Klein, Jana Krause, Natalie Augsburg, and maybe also Susan Miller, that could be a really big loss for Germany. And they were not very convincing in the preparation either. So I think Germany will leave the tournament after the preliminary round. As for the final ranking, I see that Croatia, they will make it to Budapest, but only to play for the 5th place against Norway. I fear that Hungary will meet the same fate as the previous EHF Euro host, Serbia, and that they will have to settle with the 4th position because of the semi-final defeat by Sweden and followed by another loss by France. So they will still have the same kind of frenetic support as in or Debrecen in Budapest, but in the vast Budapest sport arena, it will be more complicated to generate a real pressure on the opponents than it's in the smaller arenas. So that justifies my prediction for their bad luck in the final round. And at the end, I see one of Peter's fellow Danish cheering from the continental title. The only question is, will it be plural or singular Danish? Because either it will be the Swedish co-coach, Helle Thompson, or the Danish team. But last night in my dream, I saw 3 golden crowns shining above Danube.
Vlado, I love it that 2 days out of the championship you're already dreaming about the final.
I have to make my say now, because you never know, you know.
Absolutely. There are a lot of people who would like to get an insight into your head. I think there's. Well, that was a very long answer to my very simple question. But if I got this correct, I think it was Sweden ahead of Denmark, ahead of France, ahead of Hungary. Is that correct?
It looks like I was clear enough.
Yeah. Well, Nemanja, that actually gave you a lot of time to really make up your mind. Let me know who goes home after the group phase, who goes to the semi-finals, and who tops the podium in the end.
Well, my mind has been pretty much made up throughout, but in my group, sorry, Vlado, I'm going to have to say Slovakia will go home after. I'm so sorry, but yeah, Montenegro will top the group. I will disregard them playing down their chances, you know. I don't trust them one fair bit. France for the second, Serbia for the third. And regarding the semi-finals, only 4 spots and so many good teams. I'm gonna have to say like this: Denmark, Hungary, Croatia, and Montenegro for the semi-finals. Denmark and Hungary play in the finals.
Hang on, do you say Denmark, Hungary? Denmark, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. So yeah. So say again.
Denmark and Hungary play in the finals. Hungary wins.
Hungary win. Okay. So
yeah, we all see what happens in the Pop Laszlo Arena. So very, very, very interesting developments.
Okay. So we'll see. Well, thanks a lot, guys, for your predictions. Thanks for this really, really interesting hangout. I just want to end with a little comment that we just got here via Google from a user called Cherokee Tomahawk. Experts talked about everything that I would like to ask. Just want to say thanks. So thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Vlado. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Nemanja. Thanks for joining our hangout. As I said, we'll be much wiser when we meet again for the pre-semi-final hangout in just about 2 weeks. Stay tuned. Follow our coverage on EHFEURO.com, on our social media channels. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ciao.